Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful. And world on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you gotta get spotted. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, everybody. Man, I didn't have my volume up there. There we go. Hey, it's a Monday. Oh man, I've made my camera only has 11% battery on it. Man, I totally screwed up today. That's okay. Hey, we will deal without it anyways. I feel like I'm having an off morning already just because of that. Okay, let's go to the charts and just kind of review what happened on Friday in the treasury market. It was an interesting day because we had pretty aggressive, like all of this up here. This was pretty aggressive, like buying and kind of like rebalancing out. There is some evidence out there being reported by Bloomberg, etc., that kind of the action is in line with like profit taking, lots of block trades and so forth. But then we had this like massive down move on Friday for no apparent reason. And now here on the open, we are getting pretty aggressive up movement. It's actually pretty crazy. Like you come over here and you look at this, okay, and you see, that's a pretty good move. Like that's a pretty good move. But like it's not even a teeny tiny little fraction of what happened on Friday. I didn't take advantage of that because I was like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know how far it's going to go. It was pretty crazy. S&P 500 also taking a bit of a pummeling. So things not looking so hot over there right now. Here we got oil. Oil, I mean, it's still within the range, but yeah, it's looking pretty good. I think oil looks okay. Natural gas, of course, just continues to trend up. Can you believe like this was back when Russia invaded? Like I just can't believe that it took that long for natural gas to respond. Here we got gold and silver. Gold and silver are starting to look like a good uptrend too. I mean, if they beat out the highs from March, that would be amazing in gold and silver. But you can see here, copper getting hammered right now. So I think there's a lot of concerns about global growth with the lockdowns in Shanghai right now, right? Bitcoin dipping below 40K once again over the weekend. So I don't know, man. If Bitcoin decides to take another further little dump, like that could get so ugly in Bitcoin so quickly. And then you got the dollar still hanging out around 100. So at where we at? Good morning, John Scatena. How are you? Well, we're going to have to find something to put down here in the corner. We could just put an awesome bar chart of the S&P 500 for people. That would be lovely, wouldn't it? Just like we were experimenting around with the other day. It was over that we never made a very good background. Like, let's get a background. Well, we got some big orders up above us here. I don't know. I feel like I should go short rates here. 2.85. Yeah, I don't know. It does feel like I should be going short here, but oh boy, I don't know. I don't know. You've been remodeling your office, Susie? You said it of your trading rig in a construction zone. Jeez, dude. What are you gonna do when the house is done being remodeled? Are you gonna get bored? You sell it and go find another house to build up? Maybe. I got a few things I gotta do. I gotta I have the side garage, and it's really hard to get to the backyard. You have to go like all the way around the other side of the house. So we want to make a back door to the side garage, but it's like the backyard is actually quite a bit higher. So yeah, I'm gonna I've been putting off making that back door. When I'm done, I can. No, don't say that, Uzi. You can't say things like we lost. Listen, we already lost John. We can't be. No, 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 no. Oh man, I was talking to the guy um that was running John's GPI trading website, because he hadn't heard from them. Like he didn't know anything that was going on. So I don't know if I met him before or not, but I was like, man, that's crazy. John must have, like, they got to get the stuff off of his computer. Like that guy had so many indicators like sitting on his machine. It's crazy. It's crazy, and they haven't like gone into the computer. And okay, so they didn't attack, at least not immediately, this big old order that they have above us at 26. I do feel that I'm inclined to go long, like, anyways, the treasuries, just because I think that action on Friday was more to do with the options, and I do kind of think that 2.85 is a little too high right now, especially with what we've got going on in China and so forth. Nice. Look at touch-ups across the house from back when we painted the first time as newbies. Trim doors and such to make right. Then I'll move outside. Oh, then you do the exterior of the house. Dude, I can feel it. I'm getting a cold sore. My wife has had cold sores, and I've never had it, and I was like inevitable that I'm gonna catch it, and I'm pretty sure that I got one. Feels tingly right here. You want to rebuild the front and back patios? I wish that I had gotten more of a front patio. Like we probably could have had the patio extend over to here to under the front window or something like that. Room to put a chair to sit and watch, but nope. Because we got an okay view. We got an okay view of the front yard. Okay, well, right back up there to the highs pretty easily. I'm gonna try a sim trade here. If I am as lucky. No, not of them. I'm kind of on the mountain. Yeah, I'm kind of on the mountain, so we got a pretty good view of the valley and the lake. I think of it. Oh man. So something that I've gotten stuck on this section of TikTok that really kind of drives me crazy. It is 100,000 a year is not that much TikTok. Like what? Okay. If you make $100,000 a year, you make more than 90% of Americans. And there's these people on TikTok talking about how that's not that much. Like, what? What? Well, I think part of it is because of where they live, right? So I think back on it, I'm like, well, I do make six figures, and I do own a house. I think that what I got with the house was the result of a series of good decisions that I probably only could have made with the knowledge that I have about markets. So I'm a little bit lucky that I have a house in that respect, right? But I feel like I have it pretty damn good. And then there's these people who are 100,000 is not enough. Okay, guys. Something wrong with you. The only view I have is cattle. I did manage to avoid student loans. That's a big part of it too, yeah. I don't know what I'm gonna, you know what? Something that I regret, or that I didn't realize. Man, I did not get filled in that 25 at all. Sucks. I should have put more money into an IRA. The thing that I did not realize about an IRA is that you can take money out penalty free to do things like pay for college. So, because that's the thing that I'm sitting here thinking about is like, my oldest son is going to be going to college in like 5 years. I do not have enough saved up for that. These kids have never seen a recession. We're overdue for one. I don't know. Millions of big brains going to college for glorified social studies and wrecking their lives with a debt so they can't use their education. Yeah. I told them, like, you got to look at the cost benefit ratio for your major to look at, to make it worth it. Because I'm not going to pay for some stupid subject that ain't going to get you anywhere. And that probably means you got to be a lawyer or an engineer. I think my wife's kids could probably be okay lawyers. I don't know if they've really got the math. I don't think that they've ever been taken to advanced. That's one of the problems that I have is like, at what point do you tell that they have a gift for math? But then I think about it, I'm like, do I have a gift for math? I don't think I do have a gift for math. I think that I have to, like, when I was into college level, oh man, linear equations, for instance, differential equations. I forget what it's called. Differential and linear equations or something like that, right? That was so hard. I remember going there. There was like a group of us. There was like me and a friend. Man, my friend. I miss that guy. He was a genius. He was like really socially awkward. I don't know what happened to him because like, yeah, I think that he kind of graduated and fell off the earth. There's a group of people that like even after they graduate, they don't get a job immediately, and then so even though they have a computer science degree, they don't necessarily get paid very well. Anyways, he was smart. He was like, we did an assignment where you had to rewrite malloc, and it was one of the most difficult things I've ever done. And it was so easy for him. He understood what was going on perfectly. It's crazy. And because he was always doing assembly code. That's what he did. His thing was disassembling assembly code in StarCraft and making mods. That was his thing. Anyways, and then there was 2 girls. But I remember after class sitting and doing those assignments together in a study hall or somewhere, like for hours and hours and hours and hours. So hard. And then you get to the end of the class and they're like, or you can just put these all into a matrix and a computer can solve it for you. And we're like, oh, so that's why they made us take this course. It was hard. A lot traded there at 26.5 on the way up. This is really curious. That kind of action that we had there really feels to me like the kind of action that can keep going. It really feels like the kind of action that can keep going. But it was a lot that traded there, and I'm a little wary about it for some reason. Maybe it's just because I feel like, well, we had a really bender of a downtrend down, and now we're going to have a bender of a uptrend, and I don't know. And it's Monday, and I feel a little off kilter. Anyways, I don't think that I was gifted at the math. I was like, I studied so hard for the math, for the BC math in high school. And then we got into differential equations, and it was like I had to remember all of the calculus that we had done and had to remember it all. It was hard. I was reading my statistics book the other day, and then they went right into calculus stuff too. They were like, oh, well, the way that you find out the average is you just, was it the average? I forget. The first moment is you just take the integral of it or whatever. I was like, what? That works? Are you kidding me? All this time? I was watching season 5 of Billions every time I saw Mike Prince. I'm not sure who that is. Anyways, so I don't know. So, like, at what age do you determine, my children aren't gifted in math? Or maybe it's something that, like, you make them gifted in math. So I watched the movie. Have you watched the movie 21 with Kevin Spacey? And who else is in that? Ooh, and Morpheus from The Matrix is in it. Yeah. And they're doing card counting in Vegas. And based on like the numbers and other things that they give in the movie, I feel like it must be a pretty accurate depiction of what happened. Yeah, it's a gamble. Well, it's not really gambling because they have a system, right? They have a system built that beats blackjack. Essentially, they wait until the deck is stacked and is in a situation where you can win, and then they play in a certain situation way. They count the cards and bet big when they know, that their chances are good, right? But one of the things in the movie is the girl is, they're like, he asks her, how did you get into playing blackjack? Because she wasn't like some math savant or anything like that. And she said that her father taught her from a young age how to count cards because her dad did it. I was like, oh, that sounds like maybe an interesting thing to maybe get the kids to be better at mental math is to have them play blackjack, and that could be fun. I don't know if it's actually a good idea or not, but I'm kind of sitting here like, well, if I want to make my children because I feel like that if I, certainly if you're like 16, 17 and you have an interest in markets, we have some information here on this channel that could change your life, right? You could use the information that we have here and make a run at becoming a fund manager and become a millionaire. We really do. Like, I look back on it, if I could go back, I would have done things differently. You were a good chess player, but it did not make you smart. Well, I feel like that if you're going to be good at math, a lot of it is just doing it a lot, right? I mean, maybe there are some people that are just naturally gifted at it, but doing it a lot is going to be a major factor as well. Man, so you can still see a ton traded at 26.5, but it's not really backing off at the moment. And we've lost a basis point. I wish my parents forced me when I was, to be good at math? Like a Chinese parent, yeah. Well, that's what I'm trying to do, but like that's where I'm like, I don't feel like you can really get on them. Here's the thing, my experience in it is probably going to be different from other people's experience. Like my experience was this, okay? School was super, super easy until high school. Like Like, I don't think I ever had homework ever. Like, I would just get all of my work done during class when I was in junior high. So, like, when the kids have homework, I'm like, what the heck is wrong with y'all? Right. And then I got into high school and you had to do all of this reading for history classes and the AP classes. And that was super, super hard. And then I got into the calculus classes and calculus. I thought that it wasn't so hard, but studying for the AP test in calculus was crazy. And that was where my ADHD really started to surface. Then I got into college, and those were really hard again. And I'm sitting here like, well, if I had been taking medication, maybe the math wouldn't have been so hard, maybe. But I wish that I had gone deeper into the math subjects. Like, I got the math that I needed to have done. Like, I did calculus 3, which was kind of dumb. It was just like calculus in 3 dimensions. Right. But I never got into the advanced statistics because I come in and I read like Nassim Taleb's books, like his technical enciertos. And it's like, whoa, dude, slow down. There's so many terms and stuff he references that I had had to look up and everything. It was hard to follow. It was hard to follow. I learned the thing from it that I was specifically looking to learn and kind of stopped and didn't read through the rest of the book. Moved on to something else. Figured out really quick that chess is just trying to anticipate what your opponent will do in response to your move and setting them up for failure. Like, you can plan 3 to 4 moves ahead. You're suddenly good at chess. Yeah, but I don't. I think 4 moves ahead, but I don't think I'm very good at chess. But it seems to me that there's a whole world of strategy in chess and stuff that you can learn that give you a big leg up on the average person. I just, it's really weird. Things I look at in life seems like they keep coming back to that like the world is kind of set up in a way that normal person will almost always fail. Even like the basics of this sort of a thing, and you have this huge leg up on like 90% people. Like chess, it seems like you put a month of study into chess, read some books, do some strategy and stuff, you'll beat like 90% of people. And when I say people, I mean like average people that don't play chess, right? Pro chess players versus amateur. Well, but memorizing those strategies and stuff is a lot of practice. And you watched that? What is that movie with where the girl becomes a chess master or whatever on Netflix? That was a good series. They worked hard. Yeah, you got to work hard. That's kind of the hard thing. That's kind of the difficult thing about it. I think is that I think that we have some information that could make you a successful fund manager, but it would still be very difficult to do because you're gonna probably need to get into the best schools and get into a really good firm, and there's all sorts of moves that you're gonna have to make within the firm that I don't know what you do to be able to be successful at that, right? All I know is that we know something about how the market is more statistically efficient than it is informationally efficient, and what will move the markets and why that is mathematically. That would be a really big benefit to and there's a lot of people in the inventory industry that don't have it. I don't know where that takes you, but I wish that I had been, doing machine learning stuff like 10 years ago. Oh well. Oh well. I actually got one of the machine learning example things to work this weekend, so I think the next step is to make sure I'm piping data out of NinjaTrader. US or us retail traders are finished like floor traders? I think to some extent, yeah. Listen, these stories that we hear of like really successful traders in the early 2000s, making millions of dollars off of day trading from their home, that's not really realistic anymore. There's opportunities somewhere. There's always opportunities somewhere. Like you got to look at it and kind of see the landscape and kind of look to where the opportunity might be. It seems to me that the biggest renaissance that we're seeing in the markets right now is in machine learning. I can see where there's these complex systems that are too intricate for a human to just figure out. I could come in and I could have like 5 different indicators, but there could be like a billion different ways of combining them together. And there could be this hidden Markov system of sorts in there that the robot can figure out, and you have a really effective system. But the human looking at it, it'll seem like, well, it seems like it works, but I can't quite figure out exactly what the deal is, That's what it looks like to me. Well, there's a big old fatty order at 120 even in the 10-year. Looks like we've lost about 2 basis points now since we kind of started. Hasn't really given us much of a pullback either. Kind of just sitting on the sideline here. The problem is that I really don't feel comfortable just hitting into the low here. You were unsuccessful at getting sockets to send messages between C# and Python. Did you use the thing that I sent you? Because I was able to get it to return date. Oh, you know what? I had to mess around. I had to modify a couple of things. I don't know. I don't actually have it like returning something. So there's 2 kind of issues that I have with this that I don't know. It's like a trivial thing, but maybe part of why I haven't taken it much further. So I have these indicators that will output data series, right? So one of the things that I wanted to have was like, I need to breathe. One of the things that I wanted to do was like, oh, let's make something that's like the Santa Fe system, where it show you all 6 forces. Because to do that right now, you would have to add 3 different indicators, right? Well, you can't get multiple indicator series from one indicator. You get what I mean? Like you can have them like a bunch of different series like draw on top of each other, but you can't give them like separate windows underneath of your main series, right? So what do? Maybe you make a strategy that adds them for you. I think that's what you have to do. So why don't I just do that? I don't know. Anyways, each one of those individual data series will output its data to the cache folder, right? Well, there's also, if I'm also sending the data to Python, Python could also save that data. So does it make sense to make Python also save that data? Well, if you have Python save that data, then you would get like a more tabular sort of a thing. You would get, instead of one file with like 2 data series in it, you would get one with like, 16 columns in it or something like that, right? But then the strategy could also save it that way. So what's the best way to do it? See what I mean? Now that I'm thinking about it, John, I did have to do a couple of funky things to get it to work. But I was able to get it to work, but I was only just sending like zeros, because then I got to the Python side and I was like, okay, well, I don't know what they were trying to do with this yet, and if that's what I want to do. But now I kind of understand that stuff. I know what I want to do. I need to just have it send the stuff. So yeah. Probably I will just have the Python save the files. Actually, no, can't be the Python. Needs to be the strategy, because I might not have the Python running all the time, but I want to have the strategy save it. So I should basically, I think that all 3 steps should have the ability to save and cache data, and maybe you turn them off if you don't want them. Yeah, and then once I got a working system, I think we can make it available. It seems to me, though, that the complicated part comes into like the optimization step. So when you're running the machine learning algorithms, you can basically define a function that defines what the algorithm is actually trying to optimize, right? And there are different algorithms for that, and apparently that is a major factor behind what ends up being successful and stuff. Excuse me. It reminds me, there was, it was on Futures.io. Kevin Dog has been posting a lot lately, which was kind of interesting. It seems like he has a book that maybe I should read, see if there's anything in there that I missed. No. Gosh. So I made a post on Futures.io, linking to this paper where they basically follow these Taiwan Stock Exchange traders, and to say, and the question is, do day traders rationally learn about their ability? And this person reads the paper and he says, one of the findings of this paper is that there is evidence of learning. And I'm like, dude, no. Like, even the people that were the most experienced traders that they looked at in the study, and it was only like more than 80 trading days in the past year was what they were looking at, and it was still the vast majority of them were unprofitable. Jeez. Some people. Like here's the thing, this thread drives me freaking nuts. Let me show you. So I had this big argument with somebody to the point that the admins had to step in and be like, okay, Seth, let's not talk about it anymore, because I was saying, like, why are you guys linking YouTubers when, like, they could be generating their profits from taking on excessive risk, and you can't see what the expectancy of their trading is over a 5-year period. This was where we were having all this back and forth. And I mean, it was like back and forth, right? Okay. And then guess what? Not even a page later, another page later. Oh yeah, go check out this YouTuber. Here's somebody doing bat system on YouTube. Here's like, what? People don't even freaking listen. Like, pay attention. Do I have to spell it out for people? Hey, there are people on YouTube claim to be profitable, and they're not. There's people on YouTube claim to be showing you profitable systems, and they're just taking on excessive risk. Mighty says those millionaire traders could not survive today. But that's, the thing is like we think back, like we say, oh, okay, if we were trading in the early 2000s, then surely we would be making money, right? No, because the thing was is that it was a small group of people that had figured something out, and we only know about it now because of them, right? So there could be other things, that opportunities in the market that are out there and people are making tons of money from it, and we just don't know about it, right? Because they haven't shared it with the world. And then you share it with everybody, and then it stops working. The trick here is to just be prepared and look, so that when the opportunity comes, you can strike. That's what it's really about. Having that blue in the background, that dark blue on the side looks kind of weird. Let's figure out our shit, boy. Well, that's the thing, is that we do know one thing, right? And that is that the markets are not very informationally efficient, and we kind of know what it is that drives the orders. Yeah, we can find opportunities from time to time. I would say it's awfully difficult to be 100% consistent with it, because it's going to be different every day, right? But that's something that will always be there. That's something that will always be there, because it's the very nature of the market. Ex Bank of America Treasury note trader admits to spoofing. Tyler Forbes admitted to entering illegal phony orders, prosecutors say. Yep, I've been spoofed and screwed over more than once, and I can't help but wonder if there wasn't people like actually watching and doing it. Big offer pulled. Yeah, the big one up at 120 even hasn't really gone. We're still kind of like meandering in this area. I would expect that we will continue up there eventually, but we might be stuck here for a bit. It was a Bank of America trader. Yep, they got to tell us when they were doing it, the time during which they were doing it. Of course, we've known that it happens, right? Oh, that went further in the 10-year than I thought it would. Look at that. So when that was going on, I was like, well, maybe if I could get 83 half. And I didn't want to hit into 83. But look at how fast that went a whole basis point. Now it's coming back really fast too. Did you watch the nap? Was there a, I think maybe. I've never seen a documentary that actually talked to him though. That's the thing, is that we need to hear from him, I feel. I mean, I've watched more than one like news documentaries on it. That was a really odd volume there. I don't know if I want to touch that. So there was about, was it really that much? Okay. So there was like, when they broke the 30 and they broke to new high, it rushed up there to 120, but it was immediately smacked down by just almost as many orders. So it was kind of wild, but it kind of makes me not be, it kind of makes me afraid of trying to trade this as just like a trend up day, right? That one spot where we had an order that we didn't get filled, I should have just hit into it with that and been long. He was never in it for the money. Well, he did something that he knew was technically wrong. It's the thing, right? So totally understand why he did it. What's crazy to me is that all the money that he made, he gave it to like these hedge funds, and then they lost it all. Like, what? I tell you what, there sure is some money in losing other people's money, right? Hi, dog. Oh, well, they left him out when they took the kids to school. Yeah, no, he lost it all. He gave it to other people, and they lost it. Crazy, right? There's money, and I really am kind of thinking though that what we should try to do is get into managing other people's money. Um, like I can see the way that the commodity markets trend on longer time frames. I'm always sitting here like, if I could just hold it for a week, we'd be rich, right? If we're going to have a commodities boom here, then the place to be is a CTA. Maybe doing it, maybe you don't necessarily want to do it all by yourself, but I think that's kind of the direction that we want to go. I'm not feeling right today, man. I feel a little sleepy, and let me come back. By the way, when I was looking at New Squawk today, didn't get the morning note like you normally do. Still don't. Oh, no. No, they only have stuff from last week. Hmm. Look up Mike Prince. Okay. No, I don't look like him. I don't think I look like him at all. We're both bald. We're both bald, but I don't think I look like him at all. He's a thick boy. I wish I looked like him, maybe. Once here, Goldman Trader, the best days are behind us, and we've never seen a setup quite like this before. How are we not headed towards a scenario where the Fed will be forced to tighten into a slowdown? The trajectory we're on is a photographic negative of Gold. It really is. It really is the exact opposite of Goldilocks, right? Like low rates and low growth forever is a great setup for markets. But if we're back into an inflationary regime where the Federal Reserve has to raise interest rates and growth is still low, like, yeah, it's not a good situation. InfoWar files for bankruptcy over Sandy Hook defamation lawsuits. Really, it was that bad for them, huh? Yeah. So that's exactly why I didn't. This right here is exactly the sort of thing that I was worried about happening. So now that it's happened, so here now the setup is okay. You wait for it to come back to the site of the breakout, and then you try and take it on a continuation, but then instead it retraces the whole move, right? I don't have any reason to think that it would do one or the other. Yeah, I think I'm a little aimless. I mean, I would prefer to be going long today, but since we already got that. In US pre-market trading, Twitter rose, really. Let's come and look at that. I don't know if I just didn't get a good night's sleep or whatever, but I'm starting to feel a little sick. There's Twitter's stock. I'll put it on a 5-minute chart. Okay, so it is up overnight, recovering some of the losses from last Friday. Oh, I don't know. There's another shoe to drop in Twitter probably today, and who knows what it's going to be, right? That is, you know what? Like we don't even realize, man. You will never see something like Twitter again. Like enjoy that, watch it. You don't have to trade it or anything, but you're never gonna see a hostile takeover story as crazy as Twitter. It is like this is like one of the defining battles of our age. It's all coming down to a proxy fight in Twitter or something like. And there goes my camera. Not in the best spot either. So I'm gonna turn that off. And we'll pull another chart up in here in its place. Yeah. You know what happened was I recorded 2 videos this weekend. I recorded the videos, but I didn't edit them. Felt like a lazy piece of crap. But I did record 2 videos, so I should be proud of that. Anyways, I recorded 2 videos and then I forgot to put the camera back and plug it in and everything. Okay, so let's do this with the. I think you want this one. Okay, yeah. We'll zoom it in so we get nice, big, pretty candles. How can you tell spoofing? Well, I mean, that's kind of part of the point, isn't it? Is that it's impossible to prove that it's spoofing just from seeing it. You can say it looks awfully suspicious, but how do you prove that it's spoofing? To prove it's spoofing, you have to prove intent, right? We'll just add the watermark in here, even though it's not the best looking one. So that anyone that comes in here, they will know right away. They'll know right away that it's there we go. Well, I think that Nav was just doing something that doesn't work anymore. Probably was taking on excessive risk too, but I guess the thing that you're supposed to take away from all of that is that what is a good trader and a successful trader is a lot more complicated and nuanced than people want to think, right? Because we think, a good trader is somebody that's made millions and millions of dollars. But that's not really the way that it works with trading. And in our day, you have to consider that there are some really great traders that will have really great information for you that aren't making much, if anything at all, from it. You know, this is just the world we live in now. That was a decent little pop there in the treasury. Mr. Inelastic. There you go. I don't know, like there's some things that I'm really good at, and there's some things that I'm terrible with, right? Do you listen to the chats with Trader? Not usually. Not usually. Believe the difference between a good trader and a bad trader is overtrading. I've definitely had problems with overtrading in the past. I think I'm a lot better at that now than I used to be. Goldman, Yahoo Finance tweets that Goldman forecasts a 35% chance of a recession happening within the next 2 years. Yeah, okay. Two and 10-year spread approaching the highest level since March 3rd. Good. I say good. Shaking out some of the sleepiness. Like, yeah, I'll tell you, here's my opinion on the GS thing, okay? Because everybody's going on about, oh yeah, Goldman says that Twitter's stock is only worth $30, but the M&A people said that it wasn't enough to be a serious offer. Okay. If two sides of Goldman Sachs disagree with each other, I would probably side with the research analyst guys. Especially if it's something that's more long term. Seriously. Because the desks, their job isn't to predict what the economy is going to do. Their job is to carry out client trades, right? The M&A people, their job is to do M&A jobs, which Valuing a company for an M&A is very different from valuing a company for trading, right? But Jan Hasius is a genius. If he says something, I pay attention. Goldman says there's a 35% chance of a recession. Yeah, that's good. That's pretty accurate. The thing that they aren't telling you there is that when the chances of a recession rise, it rises very quickly. That's what they're not telling you there. Jack Brosibiak, BlackRock in the White House. That's another thing that I'm seeing is where is this all of the sudden this organized effort from both Republicans and Democrats actually. I really want to know who's funding this, the push against BlackRock and other fund managers that they're so evil now. I just was like, both sides, his haters and his lovers are delusional. Well, but do you see like, man, is around almost every major market issue, and you get on the internet and you read what people say on Reddit, and you'll see it. There are people saying stuff that is just like objectively false or unlikely to happen. Like the majority opinion always has a misconception about it. I definitely see that with Elon. What's going on right now, like with the Goldman things. Like, well, they're two separate entities, basically. You might as well not consider them the same company. I don't know. I think some people seem to be gearing up for like a proxy fight, but I just don't see it, man. Oh, there's a 35% chance of a recession, but what the news isn't telling you is when they show you that is that when a recession happens, the chances of a recession rise very quickly. Which is to say that as of right now, the way that things are not the end of the world, even though I think they are a drag on growth. But when the thing happens that kind of starts to push us over the edge, that changes very quickly. So it'll go from like 35% chance of a recession to 65% chance of a recession really fast, essentially. Since like 2019, every news story just seems like overhyped bullcrap. Well, it's always been that way, dude. This stuff has been bothering me since the dig days. Since it was really like the thing that did it for me was when you'd get on dig and like 9 out of 10 of the top stories were all from the Huffington Post. Why do you keep asking me that, Nasdaq killer? I don't understand what you think you're going to accomplish with that. I'm sorry, I'm ornery today, but we had a spreadsheet of a bunch of different setups and we tracked them. And there was a bunch of them, right? But in the long run, we realized that that wasn't really a very good approach. So you just want to go and retread my past. I mean, they're fun setups. They're fun. I'm just, if you think that they're gonna make you money, it's probably not going to, because there's some problems with them in the long run, is what we discovered. yeah, the world is going to end because of COVID, and then because of riots, and then because of January 6th, and then because of yeah, really, yeah, it just never ends. If anything, I have to say, with Russia, um, the Ukraine war has been one of the biggest global shocks you could possibly get, and the economy has been weathering it. Like, it really just shows you how resilient the economy really is. And you know what? Here's the other thing. Um, when a recession does happen, they're not that bad. Okay, like obviously, if you lose your job during a recession, then it sucks. Okay, you're a person that's living paycheck to paycheck. Recession is kind of concerning, right? But if you're stable and you keep your job through the recession and you have extra money anyways, recession's not so bad. Recession's just an opportunity to deploy capital, right? I just want to know what the setups are and what the problems are. Like the order book, I want to know what you know. If you know, to okay. So I think I understand what you want to know. So let me try and walk you through it. One of the indicators that we used that we focused on very heavily for a month or so was just looking at every level 2 event, and if there is a spike in level 2, and especially if there's a spike in level 2 and not a corresponding spike in volume, then that had a tendency to be a short-term top, and so we could reverse that for like 4 to 8 ticks, and it was really effective. Okay, but what we have found with order book setups in particular, and I think that it isn't so much that it's an order book setup as it is any kind of setup that you see working at that time that seems to be like really effective. They tend to work in regimes. So as soon as the regime changes, they stop working, essentially. So that's what happened with that, was that like in that one regime, it worked really well and it was a reversal 60% of the time. But then in another regime that was more trending, it would fail every time. And what we essentially had determined from it was that there may be a long-term expectancy from it, but that the drawdowns are just too hard, because you're going to get a 3 to 6 month period where you lose 60% of the time. And that's what you're going to see over and over again, right? With any kind of technical trade. And that's why I say I think that if you want to do technical trading, that you probably want to move into machine learning. I heard with order book trading, it's basically more about the way the order book behaves at a predetermined price point that you look at the flow. I think it's no. Well, so I what you do with that, David? With the problem with that is that really what you're doing there is you're reducing the number of samples that you get, right? Because what will happen is, the reason they say that is because somebody will come in and they'll actually find a way to backtest it, and they'll say, oh, okay, actually, when you look at every time that particular setup has happened ever, it's actually, the result of it is actually just random. And then they say, well, it only matters sometimes in certain situations, and they can't define what those situations are very well. So you can't backtest them, right? And then if you actually did backtest it, you'd find that like the number of samples that you have isn't enough to make a statistically significant inference from it. What you're hearing are the rationalizations that technical analysis traders make to try and convince themselves that technical analysis still works, even though it's failed for them so many times. Right? It only matters sometimes, and haven't been able to determine the times that it actually works for me. If you could go back in time, what would you do differently? I would go and get a finance degree and try and become a fund manager or a quant fund manager. That's what I would do differently. Or just make more specific trades. One thing that happened to me was that before COVID happened, I made a few mistakes. And so when COVID recovery was happening, I wasn't really able to push it. But then I did really, really well during that period. So I had a period during the height of the COVID boom that was just like, I could just show you guys that one time period of performance and try to just ride that for the rest of my career, sort of a thing, is because it was like really quite amazing, right? I really mad still that I had kind of squandered my account before that. But at the same time, it's like, but what would have happened if I had done that is I would have done really, really well for like that year, and then I would have came into a period in 2021 when I would have blown it anyways, right? I worked for a bank that will remain unnamed, but is Goldman Sachs. But I worked for them in equities technology. I guess that's another thing is like if I could go back. I tell you what, man. If I had not been married when I started working for Goldman Sachs, things might have been very different. Like maybe I would have gone to New York and I would have ended up working in a completely different section and I would have been closer to trading and maybe I could have traded for them. Right? So was kind of those were the two big intersection points in my life that there's no way I would have realized that that's where they were. But one was I could have chosen a different major in school. I mean, there's the thing. All growing up, I wanted to make video games. That's why I became a computer science guy. All of my schooling was, wow, ES is just taking off here on the open. All my schooling was centered around making video games. And then when I got to the end of it, I realized working and making video games is a terrible industry. It's a terrible industry to work in. So if I had gone through the whole thing with the idea of I want to become a quant, I would have done things differently, right? I would have focused on statistics. I would have tried to go and get like a graduate level degree. Like I would have tried to get a master's degree. Things like that. I could have done it if I, go back and there's a couple of little things really simple things that I would have needed to change, and I could have talked to my past self and changed it. Yeah. But that's the biggest thing is it drives me crazy when I see high schoolers come in and like, okay, I'm gonna become a big day trader. No, dude, day trading is for washed out 30 and 40, 50-year-olds that have money to burn and don't know what to do with it. Okay. It's not for a young upstart. You have the ability to go to school and work for a firm and have all of the advantages of a firm. Why would you waste time day trading? Huh? I think if I didn't have to move, I would probably be willing to do that. If I didn't have things to lose. I don't know. If they gave me an offer, if I had they would pay for me to move and gave me a salary that's higher than what I make now, then I would totally go back and stop the YouTube channel and go and trade for a firm. 100%. It's a way better gig, guys. It's a way better big gig. That's what I would change. I think I spend a lot of time backtesting technical setups that was really kind of pointless. But oh well. I learned a lot from doing that, so I don't think that that was really a loss. Change the properties here to make that line a little bit more noticeable. But that's a pretty good looking. Well, it looks like they're loading back up to 4400, I guess. Let's make that break like 3 pixels. There we go. Properties. I kind of want these. I wonder if I can get these fonts to be bigger. Oh, there you go. What if I said 20px? Hey, can you read that okay? Yeah, I think so. Man, I still just don't feel 100% today. I don't know how to describe it. It's like I feel heavy and my face kind of feels like a metal plate is being pushed into it. I wonder if I'm getting sick. That's a lot of. Is it interesting how much volume has gone into 29, but they've not traded 28 half? And Mark says, I'm 19, about to transfer for my bachelor's. I want to work at a banker firm. Do you think just a bachelor's in finance would get you anywhere? Yeah. Well, so here's your next set of problems, right? You really have to decide, what do I actually want to do? Okay. Because if you have a degree in finance, that's a wide swath of things that you can do, right? It's a really wide, you could have a degree in finance and just end up working in operations, right? So you kind of have to decide what you're going to do. If I want to be a fund manager, listen, I think that a lot of the opportunities are in machine learning and more advanced math and statistics and stuff. So you're going to want to try and do something in school where you take the heavy math still, like you take high level statistics. So like if there's finance, it's better to go into like quantitative finance, right? Which school you go to matters a lot too, right? Because if you want to be an investment banker, right, then you probably you need to go to an Ivy League school, and it needs to be an Ivy League school that the firm that you want to work for recruits from. So for me, I was lucky because Goldman Sachs recruits from the University of Utah. Don't know why that is. There's many places that they could recruit to, but they recruit from the University of Utah. Well, I guess it's because they have an office here in Utah, right? But this is those sorts of things. So you would really have to think carefully about where you want to go to school. So like if it was me, I like the things that I'm interested in are like this quantitative finance stuff. Really, I should have been trying to get into like the University of Chicago is what I should have been doing. Probably would have a ton of debt now. I don't know. But I wish I had more time to spend on that stuff, I wish that was my day job. So Now, how do I make the transition and stuff? I don't know. Because the problem is you got to move. For me, you got to move. I don't want to move. It sure is. So probably I could have gone short at 83 half and still be in an okay position, but I don't think I would have gotten $10 out of it yet. That's what you wanted to hear. There you go. Well, I hope that helps. I had one guy come in here the other day that was like, it was about a month ago, that said that they were like working on getting funding for a fund. I was like, oh wow, really? They said that they had gotten a start from me. So it's good. Elon Musk says he has a backup plan if his Twitter takeover bid fails, but it's unclear what his plan for running Twitter would even look like, says Bloomberg. I was hoping for something a little bit more interesting to happen on the Twitter story here this morning than that. Well, what are they doing so far? On the open, it looks like the initial move in Twitter has been down, and they are now near the lows from Thursday, rather. They're at Thursday's lows. I'm still not sure here in the treasuries. I mean, look, they've built a good profile around the 29.5. I still see a little bit of upward pressure. The book is not too strong. Well, look at that. Now they just busted 28.5 very aggressively. That's very aggressive. Oh, what the heck? Big push down, big push back. What's going on here? I always want to say in Discord, like, I haven't seen a move like this since yada yada, but like I always say that too much. But man, I haven't seen a tug of war like that in years. That was incredibly unusual order flow that we just saw there, folks. And a really big bid showing up at 29 kind of suggests to me somebody putting that out as like a warning to the market. Yeah, that was that one at 29 was kind of on the inside too. Well, I don't know if I want to. I think I might have to think about taking a trade here. They're going to attack it now, huh? Elon Musk tweets, "Love me tender" days after Twitter takeover. Do I have him in my traders tweets, by the way? Okay, did they just pull that order? No, they traded it. 5K. My oh my. Oh, he is in toward traders. They traded through at 7K. Okay, so you know what that was right there was the trade. That was the big transaction that I always want to trade and try and make a big call off of, and then I regret trying to do that. That's what that was. Uh, that was a lot of selling. That was a lot of selling. Wow. In fact, that order takes cumulative delta for the session negative today. That was a really massive move, man. Okay. So there's kind of something funky going on here with the spread. Oh, look at that come back. Wow. Wow. Something going on in the ES. This is really weird. It's really weird to see such a significant change without like news, That is something else. This is, considering that it's a Monday and everything, like wowzer. Oh, you like the chart. Well, our camera is died, so that's why we put that over there. I don't understand why you like it. Like, I know you have your own charts. By the way, we should get rid of the label here. There we go. That's better. So I'm kind of waiting here to see if that big transaction at 29 becomes a liquidity hole that they get sucked back into. For chart traders, I don't know. I don't get it. I spend my whole. Here's what I don't understand is that I spend like pretty much my whole thing, the whole session talking about how technical analysis works, but you guys still like the charts. I don't get it. Do you think they should go test the 7K? I get it from just the way it's behaving right here in this exact moment. I got a real suspicion that they're going to come back and test it for sure. Like you can just kind of see how all the speculators saw that and decided to do something off of it, and now it's like it's going to get stuck there. Oh man, my nose itches. I need to call my allergist and get the shot, I think. I mean, it's only a hop and a skip away. VWAP in the way? I mean, yeah, that is the VWAP. I don't know. So like part of this is like, what happened there? But it looks like it was very much isolated to the 10-year. Did you see some activity in the 2-year that maybe I missed? Maybe I really do need to add the 2-year up there. I don't know. Oil is looking really nice this morning, by the way. If the treasuries end up making further moves, it could create all sorts of interesting reactions in the commodities, huh? We're getting this thing where the 10 and the 30 aren't matching each other quite very well. You don't see anything in the 2. Well, yeah, of course, natural gas looks good. So here's like another one of those, like, okay, if you're going to ride the trend, then sure. Surely you want to be long natural gas, but the question is like, how much further will it go, right? But right now, I think if you're doing a CTA strategy, you're long natural gas, and they're not anywhere even close to, reversing that. Okay, so we are now back above where the sell was. So that is, you see why I didn't touch it? It took me a long time to learn this, but I used to think, I think it was because of starting with Grady's course. Grady's course is like, okay, so you see something like a huge iceberg there. So in that case, it was like there was a huge iceberg and they broke through it. You want to go short, right? And then you're already out. But what I've found is that when big trades like that happens, like it creates so much interest around it that it often just creates chaos and confusion around it. And that's what you're seeing right now, is that there's going to be chaos and confusion around that price, and then it'll settle and it'll choose a direction. So you don't want to be in it at that point yet, right? So if we really think that this is going to like reverse and we want to go short, we might be able to get 2.83 maybe. You've been long ZN all morning? Well, good job then. I do kind of wish that I had taken it long right on the open, but Biden administration just surrendered by starting up oil drilling on federal land again. Take that, global warming people. Please read the message of the day on BillO'Reilly.com. Okay, Bill. You know what? I don't know why I read you guys Bill O'Reilly's tweets, but I just kind of find what he says amusing from time to time. Interesting fellow. That's all. That's all. The S&P 500 is just, so have you noticed that they've been doing this thing where it's like the initial move will be a buy and then it flips around? Because it did it to us on Thursday and it's doing it again. And the cumulative delta, this whole time has been negative. This whole time. Can you believe that? Hmm. So now that there was that push up, it wasn't accompanied by very much cumulative delta. No, the Brandon shaking hands with nobody video, that was funny. I know what you're talking about. Hmm. Sure does move aggressively when it does move. That's odd. That's even more odd. Okay, so they're kind of hanging out in this range. There was a little bit of volume there. Okay. So I'm a little suspicious here because I took a trade and there was more volume around me. So it seems like the instrument is reacting to me. Kind of looks like the market makers are playing a lot of games with each other right now because there is just a lot of activity on the inside bid and offer, huh? Mhm. See that 28.5 is going back and forth an awful lot right there. Let's recenter on that. Yeah. So have we come to the point of minimum supply and demand? I forget where I was reading that, but it was another thing by Jean Philippe, and he was basically he said, you know, basically tends to settle where supply and demand are at their minimum. It's like, oh, that's an awesome way of thinking of it. Oh, we get the housing market news here in a minute. That's usually not a huge mover, but the expected is 77. Yeah, all sorts of games going on there. Bunch of people wanting to take trades there for some reason. Okay, so the housing market news was in line. I don't know why, but I found that whole sequence of events to be really nerve-wracking to me. They are coming back down to the bottom end of this range that they had hit when there was that big sell earlier. So we should be looking out for a break of 26 lower, possibly. I think it's been long enough since that initial move up that it shouldn't be too big of a, rush down if they go. Like, I don't think that the liquidity will be super disrupted down there, but I do think that we're a little top heavy. Like, a lot of people took trades up in there. So if we start pushing these lower levels, it probably is going to be some longs that took, you know, took the limit orders that are going to have to puke. Because I don't think that those longs were like, well, I don't know. Maybe they could have been. Maybe they could have been profit taking from. Maybe they could be long term profit taking. Could be what pushed us up initially. The volume, though, the volume in the 10-year is very much short today. Hmm. There is a little. There is definitely a bit of a hole here around the VWAP, right? Hidden liquidity Monday. Sure. It sure is an interesting day. This is some of the most interesting order flow I've seen in a long, long time. This just it reminds me of the old times because I can remember so many situations wanting to take trades around there in those spots and thinking that it meant certain things and being dead wrong about it. S&P maybe doing some weird stuff too. This sort of a thing right here. Okay, like here's why didn't it do that? Okay, here's a head and shoulders. Okay. Neckline break down. But this thing right here, this flip doji right there, that is unusual. Maybe it goes like that. Like if I was just trying to read the chart, that's what I would think is going to happen in ES. Just we know that sort of analysis isn't very effective, but that's kind of what it looks like it's going to do. I suppose though that if the ES is going to flip back around and retest the highs, that the treasuries are probably going to get hammered a bit from it. shouldn't say hammered, but there's gonna be pressure in the treasuries if ES is doing well today, right? Yeah, see, that's looking good right there in ES. Treasury's backing off a little bit because there was some liquidity there at 26.5, I think. Whoa, okay, there was some liquidity at 27, but they just plowed through it. 1,000 isn't a lot, but with the amount that there was definitely an iceberg there at 27 because that 1,000 was much less than what they're offering, right? Or what they're bidding, rather, if we want to say it like that. You can kind of see how they kind of came down to the decision point, and now it's like, oh, are we going to? Are we not going to? Or Joe Biden is going to be speaking? Hmm. It's a real tug of war here. See, this is just maybe I should focus on this more for you guys, but anytime that there is like a key decision point level that people identify in the chart, in this particular instance right there at 26.5, what happens is everybody's interest in it creates more random behavior around that point. So everybody thinks, oh, yes, I want to go to those key decision points and find a way to determine what it's going to do at those key decision points. But what I've found is that those are the worst places to trade because the market will just do random and bizarre stuff there. Stay away from what the crowd is paying attention to. Unless it's like some inescapable macro factor. But when it comes to technical analysis, yeah, I would stay away from what the crowd is watching. Well, that was a pretty good 3 or 4 ticks up there. So the 10-year seems to have recovered better than the 30-year did in that situation. Are we getting steepening still? I guess we'll see if the 30-year decides to push even lower. I could definitely see the 30-year trying to get to 16, right? Oh, actually 16 is where it stopped. Oh, that's interesting. It's always funky things going on at 16. I tell you what. Well, I have to say that there is some downward pressure on this thing, but the price movement in the treasuries is still ends up being quite random, doesn't it? And ES kind of stopping its run up there for at least briefly. This is like when the crash happened? Not sure what you mean. Well, I wasn't watching the book in 2008. Finding the sequence of events here in the treasury to be incredibly interesting, if not confusing. Hmm. See, it's that 30 years still seems to be the one pushing him down. And when they do, it doesn't take very much volume on the part of the 30-year for it to happen either. Look at that. There's another tick down. Okay, well, somebody pushed back at 21, but this really was like the orders hit into 20, and then the buyers tried to push a strike back. Sure enough, as soon as we notice it happen, it stops doing it. There's ES, does not look so happy. This whole thing right here, I don't know. That seems like kind of weird price action for the S&P 500, but at the same time, it's kind of like, yeah, but the S&P 500 always does bizarre things to throw you off. Hmm. Still seeing that sell pressure in the 30-year. Well, can't say I'm too pleased with what we're seeing here, though. So I will just scratch that trade. Actually, you know what? There was a lot of things about that that made me nervous and stuff. I actually got 17 favorable ticks, so it's kind of a bum deal that I didn't get anything out of that, but I still played it really well, so I don't think I should feel too bad. I think I want to wait for a better time period. That sleepiness coming on again. It's like I'm not directly in a trade. Well, I probably shouldn't have gotten out at where I did. Could have gotten a better exit. Oh, wait, how is that the case? That's really bizarre. Oh, 238 was where I took it off, though. Okay, maybe not. I was thinking 235 was where I took it off, but that's not the case. The 5-year is like on the higher end of its range, though, which is very, very interesting. So I think what's going on there is I'm reading too much into tiny price movements. Yeah. There, now it's back to where it was. Yes, did kind of get higher low and a higher high, frankly. Bank of America reports record equity trading revenue, but investors unimpressed as investment banking slumps 35%. Whoa. Jeez. Oh, yes, and I didn't even notice that while we've been sitting here, gold has briefly touched 2,000. Oil spike erases Biden SPR benefits. Now what? Yeah. Yeah, one's not going so well for them, is it? If I like pause and don't say anything for even like 2 seconds, I feel like sleepy. I hate this. I hate being like this for you guys. I should be more spry. Do I need to take a bunch more trades to? Hey, why not? Why not? Okay, like here, we'll take one right there. I'm just gonna put this over here. What is with the liquidity, man? It's all good. Thanks. Is there something coming up here? Well, there's a 6-month bill auction today, I guess, but there is something. Okay, so that should have gone long there. Yeah, there we go. This is not. Well, I don't know. So for small scalps, if I can get a fill here at 30.5, this could maybe be good for small trades. But it's pretty sketchy action, isn't it? Take a risky trades is not a good idea. Well, I can come in and take them with Sim is what I'm doing, right? Do it on Sim. No fill yet. What it's kind of telling me is that 30 should have been the exit, and we might still get it. We can take on excess. Hey, there you go. There you go. Good one. I was a little concerned about it, but it never ticked against me. It never ticked against me, so that's good, right? The 5-year wants to go higher here, huh? Sure what it looks like. We have to consider that huge flush of volume in the 10-year may have been a spread trade. I have to say, though, a lot of this action since the big trade looks awfully random, like especially all this. Okay. I don't know. I would expect it to do that, right? But we shall see. Shall see. And there comes the buy again. So when it moves, it's quite aggressive. But that's probably a function of just how poor the liquidity is becoming. that did seem like a more significant turn. So if I wanted to try and go long in the micros here again, the spot that I was, well, somebody decided to click it for me. So do you see that where it's like even a few micro contracts going through and it's like all of a sudden the spread is up here? Yeah. Well, let's reset it right there. Yes, it's looking okay. I actually kind of am tempted to buy ES here. Oh, I missed that there was a tweet by Elon Musk. He linked to a Bloomberg story in defense of Elon Musk's managerial excellence by Matthew A. Winkler. And Elon said, "Why, thank you, sir." Oh, okay. The Tesla CEO's track record proves he's a preeminent builder of businesses and maximizer of shareholder value. I love it. For all the histrionics from the 2018 tweet considering taking Tesla private, for which he incurred a $20 million fine. That whole 2018, that seems like that was just yesterday. I remember being here on this stream and laughing about that. Elon Musk is a pretty good business manager. In fact, the chief executive officer of the world's most valuable automaker has no equal. Hey, look at that. Aren't we glad? So now that they've come back up there, do you think that they get swept back the other way again? I wish the camera could see my face so I could make all sorts of funny faces to the camera. We're above that 29 again. So that bigger move that initially kind of got us all excited has been done for 45 minutes. So it's kind of getting time to be on the lookout again. How is, oh my gosh, who would call me spam risk? Okay. How is Twitter doing? Well, Twitter first move was down. They came below Friday or Thursday's lows and then found some support and are back just sitting just above the opening prices. So that's interesting. You know, given all of the poison pill and all that stuff, I thought, oh man, Twitter's going to get hammered. But then people are saying, but he might try and do a hostile takeover anyways with some buddies. Well, I don't know. How many buddies would you need to take 15% of the company and everything? Like, that's really hard to do, right? I don't know if that one's going to happen. Spoos look nice. Look at that. You can't even catch it. The treasury just looks like it's just ready to just we're just chilling here on the edge of a cliff. Nope, nobody's hitting it yet. Okay. Equity's going, treasury's not really reacting. Actually, not really anything else really moving at the moment. Bitcoin, there seems to be an unusual amount of daily volume interest relative to where it normally is in Bitcoin today. Ethereum down 2%, Bitcoin down 0.75%. So it hasn't moved too much, but apparently there is an unusual amount of volume interest. There's also an unusual amount of volume interest in the micro 10-year, which is really interesting. Yeah, well, I guess that kind of action that we've seen here in the 10-year is the sort of stuff that gets a lot of retail traders in the 10-year excited, right? Also seeing silver. Silver's up 2.5%. Silver's doing good. That means that my portfolio is probably going to be pretty happy, huh? Hey. Okay. Okay. Oh no, that's really, really weird. Okay, so remember that where we were trading, it was around the 0.38, right? 2.838. It's now back up to here. So maybe $5. But the 30-year is now below 16. So that's a little bizarre. Does look like the rate overall is going up. Okay, well, we got filled on our orders over here. So now they're just going to dive on us probably. Yeah. Warren, Senator Warren warns. Oh my gosh. Bleh. What a headline. Senator Warren warns Democrats must deliver more to avoid midterm wipeout, says The Hill. Yeah. I don't think that any of the things that you quote unquote would deliver on are going to do it. You know what? By the way, I have this thing in here. I should probably turn that off. Okay. My phone is giving me all sorts of notifications that it shouldn't. Okay, so this is another one where it was looking pretty dire there, and they've dug it back out in the 10-year. The you haven't seen this move too much because the 30 is still chilling down there at 16, but so you can see a very wide difference between the 10 and the 30, right? It looks like it wants to revert back, but I don't know. The book is still awfully low here, huh? Last desperate Democrat move will be to pay off all. No, because the so here's the thing. The reason that they haven't paid off all of the student loan debt isn't because they don't want to, right? Why am I getting a call from the school before? I better listen to that. Because it's not time to be at school yet. Oh, today is an early out day. That's why. Gotcha. My micro almost back to where it was. So you could have pulled something out of this if I had taken the range, but I'm always looking for a break, right? That's my problem. Well, the S&P did come back quite aggressively there, but they seem to be holding for now. Yeah, keep it like that. It's fine. It's really crazy to me that this like pay off student loan debt thing is even a serious something they're seriously considering, right? Like they just I tell you what, do it. Do it. It'll be chaos, man. The destruction that it will cause to society if they do that is just like I can't even imagine. You're gonna go and you're gonna give a payoff to people that are mostly upper middle class, right? Yeah, you're just gonna end what it could do to the college system could just be like, Corn futures in Chicago exceed $8 a bushel for the first time in almost a decade, approaching a record as war threatens global supplies. I haven't even looked for ZC here today. Oil is actually like relatively quiet today. Corn is up 2.5. Last priced 807. Unfortunately, the quote unquote young have built their existence on very low rates of inflation. So, yes, in the past, folks got along just fine with 4 to 5% inflation, but that was when it was the norm. And that was then, and that isn't now. You may be too young to remember, but Americans once got along fine with 4 to 5% inflation rates. Yeah, but the problem is that you've had an economy that has basically been entirely solely based on low inflation rates for over 10, 20 years now. All of the businesses that benefit from higher interest rates have been decimated, especially in the investment sphere. There's not many quote unquote value investors left, right? Remember that value investor guy killed himself and stuff? Yeah. Yeah. Does kind of seem like that the pressure is to the downside, but it's really slow and tricky flows, and it's a little bit too late for me to be trying to take trades now. So I think that we probably could have made $15 there. I don't know if we ever get to the $20, but I don't think that the trade ended up being quite what I wanted. And really, if we get it, it's not necessarily because we're picking the outrights correctly. It's because of the spread being in our favor. I guess there's nothing wrong with that, but so maybe now that I've given up on it, they're going to be like, okay, you can take it down now. You can sell it now. So it's not going to get in. Oop, oh, are we going to get a pivot up in the ES? Maybe I shouldn't do it on a 1 minute chart. Maybe I should have it be a 5 minute chart over here. Huh? How about that? How about that? Hey, you got really clear looking bars and everything. It's all big. Look over here. It's like nothing's happening now in the treasury. New poll says Macron seen winning presidential election with 56% of the vote versus Le Pen. Yeah, I'm pretty confident that Macron will win because Le Pen says crazy and dumb things at the worst times. Why would you do that? Well, whatever. ZB breaking new low there. Le Pen is the real dude. I don't get it. Why would you come in and tell them that? What was it that she said again? Oh yeah, we will withdraw from NATO. Like what in the world makes you think that that's going to help you win the election? It's just loony to me. You know, I probably could have kept that trade that I had on and pulled something out of it, because I don't think that it ever really went against me. Okay, there's ES eyeing a new high. Looking awfully promising. Hmm. I mean, I can definitely see over the long term that there has been some pressure and there's been some steepening in the treasury. But when you're looking at it tick by tick, it's quite random. Hmm. They did touch into that high, but we didn't get like the break of the high. Everybody goes crazy, that sort of a thing yet. I'm not going to say that that's a bad thing, but it's not what you want to see. Elon Musk says the Twitter board salary will be $0 if my bid succeeds. So that's about $3 million per year saved right there. Where did he say that? He's not tweeting it. I don't see anything tweets. She doesn't want to win the election. She wants to win, period. Okay. Well, I think that she's going to lose this election and then everybody forgets about her. Listen, I don't follow French politics very often, but I just know that what she said is not ain't going to help you win an election. The time where people are most concerned about that issue and or the support for NATO is likely to be at its highest, so much so that these countries that have been putting off joining NATO for decades are talking about getting into it, right? And then you want to talk about getting out. Okay. Not very good politics. What's this? Yeah, I'm not going to read that. She's a thug, not a cookie cutter. Okay. But you got to get elected to do anything, right? No way you're going to get elected making gaff. I mean, it's literally a gaff, is what I would view that as. I'm a little worried that the S&P could just like flip down hard, but ouch. Ouch. I'm not going to read that one either because that's just sad story, sad local story. How's that? Natural gas up at its highs again. Ooh, gold taking a little bit of a hit though. Gold taking a little bit of a dive. Is the dollar moving anywhere? Well, it looks like the dollar looks strong at the moment. Dr. Oz endorsed by the big T? What? And that, I tell you what, the 10-year there came back down to the lows awfully easily, didn't they? I don't know. At the moment, I'm not so sure that there's any real solid reason for for the 10-year to move from here. The action since that initial move right off of the open has been quite random, right? The open was way back here, right? So this whole thing is like, you know, but all of this up here has just been random. So I was thinking maybe they would break down and move through there. They didn't. They keep kind of testing the edge, but then coming back and just kind of being nonchalant. What's the heck? So I think that what might be happening is you're getting some changes in the spreads, but that the outrights don't have any reason to move. So if we take any kind of trades, they would have to be probably range bound trades here, because I don't see a fundamental reason for the treasury to move up or down now. Why would it all of a sudden at 846? I suppose that there's like the European close would be the next kind of like marker that we'd be looking to see if something happens. But at the moment, I don't really see a whole lot of opportunity and see a really strong reason to put capital at risk. Stefan, hi, how are you? Oh, Donald. The Donald. Yeah, that whole thing is weird. I didn't even know what to do about that. Your charts look random, some work on expansion. What do you mean by work on expansion? Wait, I am offended now because all it is like a bare naked chart of the S&P 500 because I don't have my picture up. Should we look at the one that I actually pay attention to? I mean, I'm not going to say I pay attention to it, but that's the one that I kind of look at. Because what you're going to tend to see is these crosses here. Okay, so this is like average true range. So you're like, based on the average true range, if it comes back down to here, right? So we had a big move up, right? So based on the average true range, if we're still in trend, it shouldn't go back behind there, right? But what you're going to find is it does it all the effing time. So that's why I put that one on there. And they have a super smoother on there that's just really good at showing us what the current trends are. So we can see pretty clearly that it is an uptrend, right? And then here we're doing a comparison with the NASDAQ. So we can see that the NASDAQ's not doing as well. And then down here is the one that I really am interested in, and that is how much autocorrelation is there in the market. And right now it looks like we're getting a strong degree of autocorrelation in the market. And that's why I'm kind of feeling the long here in the equity, right? It's like, well, we're trending up, so maybe we get something. But if you're talking about like when I draw them and everything, like, well, this you can't see it on the 1 minute, but this was head and shoulders, right? But this thing right here, these two engulfing candles, woo! Actually, it wasn't that. It was actually worse than that. These two were engulfing candles, and then there was a third one. That whole mess down there is just like that probably screwed with lots of people's strategies. I think that most people that are naked trading a one color bar. Well, okay, so you think that I shouldn't have red and blues on there? Sure, but I think that I don't think that there's any edge in it. Pretty confident. I would love if there's somebody out there. They've been trading a naked chart for 5 years, and they can show us their 5 years worth of statistics. I'd love to see it. But I really don't think it means anything. Well, not that it doesn't mean anything. I mean, it kind of does mean something, but then like everybody takes it out, right? Because it means something, you all want to try and trade it, and then you make it so that there's no edge in it, right? It's just like this sort of thing. You saw this down here. On the 1 minute chart, it really looked like, oh, that's a buy. And then what does it do? It comes right back down and then goes up again. And why have the chart up at all? Because I needed to fill the space. So if you come over here, like, why do I have charts? Right? Well, charts are really good at showing you what happened. Right? Because I can't sit and watch it all the time. So when I come over here and I look at this, okay, what happened? Well, there was a big move up. Market makers have rebalanced. Look, market maker position is like right there in the 10-year, in the 30-year, right? They rebalanced in the treasury. That's what we can see there, right? Gold, it moved up. It's turning back over now. 6J kind of doing the treasuries thing. Bitcoin, fall and recovery. You know, I'm just using it to see like what the complex is doing, to see the stuff that I forgot. But like this whole idea that like, because it moved like this and then like this and then like this, and that means that there's an X% chance that it's going to go this way, or that if it does go this way, it's going to move a lot further than it normally does. It's nonsense. Doesn't work. I'm just telling you, it's not very effective at predicting the future price movement. And I don't just make this stuff up. Hey, look, we finally did get the move there. So, what were we looking for? Oh, 5/8. So we still haven't quite gotten the 20 yet. Does kind of look like the treasury will maybe continue to see downside pressure. I don't think, I could be wrong. I don't think that it's going to slide all the way back, but it could. It's been long enough. The liquidity back here should be healed. So, but that doesn't really tell us what the market orders are going to do, other than that it's been pretty consistent selling in the 10-year. Don't be a negative Nancy because you can't rationalize. Just try your not stupid. It will improve. No, it's not. It doesn't have anything to do with rationalizing or being negative. It has to do with the empirical evidence. Like, here's the thing. There's so many different ways to trade. There are so many indicators. I can come over here. Where's the Ninja Trader ecosystem user? What is it? Whatever it's called. User app share. There we go. We can come to the Ninja Trader user app share and look at the number of indicators that are out there. There's like dozens and dozens of pages. Has there been anything new? I like to come in here regularly and see what's coming up. The simple strat indicator, cool. Swing, no backfill, VWAP, Cool. Why would you make a new VWAP indicator? I have to check that. Trend magic, right? Look at that. Just those three. Probably could spend all day backtesting those to see if there's any edge in them, right? Well, most of these don't work. I can't tell you how many things I've come in and I've backtested, right? So one could say, you're just not smart enough to figure it out. Cool. But like, why should I waste my time with something that it's random at that point, right? It's like trying to win at slot machines, right? Like, is it really a productive use of your time? The vast majority of these things fail, and if it's successful, it tends to stop being successful because people are trading it, right? Why would I take that approach to trading, right? This just doesn't make any sense. How should I determine where to put my focus, right? So here's what I say. I say number one is that you should use empirical evidence. So if I'm going to go and look into something to be like, hey, maybe that is a productive way of trading, there should be some piece of empirical evidence that I can look at for myself to verify, to see if it's worth even looking into, right? Do you ever get these with it? Look at all these indicators. I mean, does it come in here and say, well, here's the strategy and here's what the backtest says and everything, and here it is over 5 years? No, they don't do that. Well, let's see here. Since this is a strategy, we can download that one. I probably will. I think that NinjaTrader is going to delete that one because I've made that indicator myself before too. Magic Trend, ATR-based trend line that uses CCI to control its upward and downward move. Hey, that actually sounds good. I'm actually interested in that one. I want to try that. Okay. But yeah, I think that you should use empirical evidence. And here's number two. Number two is that you should be looking where the innovation is being done in the space, right? There's going to be a spot where there's going to be a lot of opportunity and innovation, and that's the next thing. And right now, the innovation is in machine learning. That's just what it is. And you know what? After machine learning, you know where it's probably going to be? Quantum computing, right? And then after that, who knows? After that, maybe it goes all the way back the other way, and then it's actually discretionary trading is actually better. We'll see. But you get what I mean? So what I don't understand is, why is there so much effort spent on something that has zero empirical evidence backing it? Why is it that every trader comes in, learns to trade? That's the thing that we look at and we do. Well, I tell you what it was for me. It's because I was told that that's what worked. And I thought that all of these people that were publishing books and posting on the internet and everything knew what they were talking about. And once I actually started to get into the stats and took a look at it myself, what did I find? Well, they're all full of shit. So it wasn't that they were full of shit. It's just that didn't work anymore. They didn't understand it completely. They were fooled by randomness, is really what it comes down to. They were fooled by randomness. So why would I spend the time there? So I just don't understand why you guys still want me to come in and be like, just try trading off of the naked chart. It's why? I know that doesn't work. You don't think that I've ever come in? Well, I mean, of course you probably know, but I remember back in what year? It was 2010. No, it had to have been before 2010. So it was before I started working for Goldman. So it was 2009. I remember in 2009, there was this lovely website that was a trading contest sort of a thing. So you would just go in and you'd have an interface of buy or sell this stock and how much. And then, it would enter you into these contests. And then you could gamble with it. You could put money in. And if you won, then you won the pot for the money or whatever the deal was. And I went in and I did that with naked charts, just doing chart patterns, and won. I did that and I won. I thought I was an amazing trader because I had won. The first time that I had tried it or something was Yeah, beginner's luck, I guess. I don't know. I've been through that. But I still just don't get it. What is it? What I would like to hear, what I want to see is, oh, hey, Seth, I read this research study the other day that suggested X, Y, Z from the results. You should what? That's why doesn't anybody ever send me that? Why do you want me to just trade charts? So you guys love charts? Is it that the charts are just so pretty? Maybe that's it. I don't know. I just find it really confusing, guys. Think about that. Because here's the thing: if you can show me empirical evidence, I'll look at anything. But that's my rule. I'm not going to look at it unless there's some empirical evidence, right? So I don't want to waste my time. I think that a lot of people want me to look at things because they think that maybe it will work, but they are not sophisticated enough to generate the empirical evidence. Not interested in doing that anymore. There's got to be some empirical evidence that it works, guys. Let's trade the book. Well, there's some interesting things about the book that you can make them really useful, but it's just that the problem with it is it's streaky. It's streaky. Is that what you mean? You get what I mean? It's like it'll work for 3 months and it'll be dismal for 3 months. Trade what works for you? I don't want to. No, because there's like, again, guys, your brain is not capable of seeing on its own what actually works because you can't see a large enough data set to see the fat tails. That literally will never work. You will think the thing that your human brain wants to look at and say, oh yeah, that works really well, is the sort of thing that like works for a few months, and then there's one day out of the trading year that just completely blows your account no matter what you do. You have to rely on empirical evidence, which would mean, like, if you have a trading strategy, you got to look at your own stats. Okay. And then, like, here's the other thing I don't get is, like, 95% of traders are failing. So why don't they ever look at their stats and go and say, this price action thing doesn't actually work? It's always like, it's just me. I don't get it. Don't get it. Empirical evidence. Let empirical evidence show you the way. That's what I think. I don't know what it is that I have to say to people to convince them that that's the way to trade, but still haven't quite got that 858, but I think that they are probably going to get it eventually. So I got to get going. I guess that original trade was good, but you know what? It's only 20 bucks. It's fine. And we didn't lose anything. So I will see you guys tomorrow. In the meantime,